Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Woohoo! Yeah, we are back after 250 years, right? We've been celebrating. We had the holiday. We had your birthday 2 weeks ago. Randy, our amazing executive coach, joining us today, bringing freedom to potential and coaching for relevance. That's the website. And of course, he also has a book, same title, movie. He does it all. Live from the Dallas Fort Worth area. Where are you today, by the way? Before I assume you're home in Texas, are you?
And that's exactly where I am. Yeah, I'm in at home on my computer uh, screen here, and yeah, just right here for the next 30 minutes.
Aw, well, great to have you as always. Fill us in. How was your weekend? How was the celebration?
Well, the celebration was actually good. It was fairly uneventful, but I got a chance to kind of visualize and sense the real aspect of it for for the fourth and just what it was all about, and just keeping that in my mind and being realistic on it. I didn't get a chance to go out and see, a lot of the sky things and all that kind of stuff, um, because I didn't really have anybody to do it with or whatever. But but it was great to stay home and just simply realize what Ju- July 4th was really about and what it references, and and how that relates to our 250 years uh, in this country, and and what it means to us, and how that sometimes needs to amend our thinking sometimes, and so that we understand the reality of what the value really is, and all that. So it was good to just be there. It's always a great time of year for sure.
Got it. Well, I'm excited. Did a little barbecue here with the kids. Nothing major, kind of small, but I like it that way.
Yeah,
I do. As I'm getting older, I like less and less. I used to like big, and now I'm just like little more like subdued. I like quiet.
yeah,
Yeah, it happens. But
and
you're
that's what I
beautiful.
enjoyed this weekend also. So yep.
Good, good. Well, I know on the heels of your birthday too, you had a lot of celebrating to do. So what's next? What's happening for you this week?
This week basically just kind of doing some of the stuff over at the airport that I usually do, and working over there and training to initial jet pilots and stuff. And but the rest of the week, I'm really just kind of thinking, reading a little bit, but also writing my next blogs and everything for the uh, uh, probably about 2 or 3 days of this week to get that all posted and all that kind of stuff. So just just sort of the normal stuff on that, but just getting a sense of your friends and what they're thinking. And of course, one of the things I'll mention today in our aspect here, um, that that's something that's kind of a deep part of me in a lot of ways. And you know what? For real leaders, it should be in a sense. And
Yeah.
so we'll just mention that going forward.
Aw, thank you. All right, what story are you going to inspire us with today? Ha ha ha.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what I'll mention is this, and I'm going to mention just one example, and I think I may have shared this with you, Jill, before, but I'll mention one example sort of toward the end, but it expresses why I'm kind of stating this and pointing it out. But to start out with, obviously realize that when you're talking about true leadership, it's not just about your rote academic, control freak stuff. It's a lot different than that. It's there's a lot of aspects to real true leadership and teamwork and team development and building synergy and things of that nature and stuff. But I will say this: that in fact, I'll just kind of express there's some narcissistic and somewhat dysfunctional um, managers that I have seen do this insight, but in a way that they don't realize is really not there and not totally aligned with what they're trying to do because it's in the way they're doing it. And this is something that, as a leader, when you're talking about doing something for your team and everything, there's a lot of times where you can do that in a very successful and amazing way, but there's also some ways where you can do that in a very narcissistic and self-interested control freak way. And it's some aspect on for leaders when you're thinking about certain things, you have to kind of have sort of a sense of that and everything. And one of the things I'll mention that I was just thinking about is I've seen a number of managers that they come up to people,
Mm-hmm.
and what they do is they tell a joke or they say a little joke or something like that to get the people chuckling and all this kind of stuff. But you know what they're really doing is making the people, surrender to them and make them just totally, you know in line with what I'm trying to control them and doing and everything, getting them dependent on me and stuff like that. And if there might be some times, one or two in a career, that you might need to do that. But the bottom line is, if you think about really those aspects of your team,
Mm-hmm.
you're missing the boat as a manager. And so, what you have to understand is what is your real purpose in doing certain things like that. And the big thing on this and is that, what what do people truly experience about you? There's a lot of people that tell a joke. Like, if I was just to tell a joke to you right now, you may chuckle about it, but are you dependent on me? Are you all
Mm-hmm.
that? No, no, no. So, um, but the bottom line is that your purpose and what you're trying to accomplish with that is not really the valuable purpose in what you're doing. And so you got to realize that with one of the things that's very interesting when you talk about leadership, there's a couple of aspects that you got to be thinking about. Obviously, you got to be thinking about your strategic vision, your strategy for where your company is trying to go, where your team is trying to go, and all of that. All of that is important. But the bottom line is there's another key aspect that a lot of times people don't think about, and that is, how are you truly connecting with each one of your people? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're connecting with people in such a way that you're just
Yeah.
dictating and
So
you're just
true.
trying to tell them what to do and have them shut their brains off and just kind of do what you say, you're missing the boat. And what a lot of people don't realize on that is this, and I'll just give a picture from my personal life that that I don't remember if I've ever shared it on a show here. I think I may have shared it with you, Jill, just some time ago. But the bottom line is, it was sort of interesting that that the wife that I had a number of years ago, um, I was her fifth husband
Wow.
because she had four failed marriages in her life, and she just quit, sort of gave up and just quit and everything, not because of anything particularly. Were there things that we both could have done a little bit better? Yeah, but here's the thing: I was very um, committed, and I was not going to walk away, kind of thing.
Mm.
I wasn't going to kind of come over there and keep talking to her to make her feel uncomfortable, but I was not going to walk away from it. And in fact, and I think you know this, that her great grandchildren, who were at the time about 4 years old and 1.5 years old, kind of thing, um, their parents asked if I would be willing to let them move in with me. And it blew
Ah.
her away when I told them, yeah. And
Ah.
they moved in with me for 3 years. And I was
Wow.
able to work with them and really get to know these kids as they were growing and becoming and things of that nature and stuff. And and actually their age right now, the girl is 16. So guess what? She's at the point where she can get her first driver's license,
Oh
and
my goodness.
and then the boy is 13. So it's so they're both doing well, and I stay in constant contact with them. But they what it blew, I think it blew my ex's mind when they lived with me for 3 years and I paid for everything.
Ah,
Worked with them, helped them, and all of that kind of stuff, um, and did that for 3 years. Well, it came time where the their mother, or the two adults, the mother, kind of thing, the mother of those two kids became very abusive and all this, and they ended up
ah,
getting a divorce, and of course they moved out of my house, but I stayed committed to the kids, and the mother was so abusive that the husband actually was given exclusive custody of the kids,
and
and
that's
that's
unheard of.
that's
Yeah.
almost unheard of, but it was very real in this situation. And I've been working together with him ever since that, and that's about for the last 12 years or so, kind of thing. And just helping them and being there and being a part of their life and all that kind of stuff. But I also found out, interestingly enough, and this was about January 2019, I
Mhm.
found out that my ex was trying to get some monetary help from the government, kind of thing,
Yeah.
from my pastor's wife. And I said, really? She said, yeah. And I said, I'll tell you what.
Ah.
And she said, what? I said, I'm going to be donating to the church every month, but I'm going to tell you how much to give her. Okay. And my pastor's wife smiled and she said, yeah, Randy, that's awesome. And you know what? Every month for up through kind of the end of that year, I'd had her give a check of $300 to my ex each month. And what was amazing is in in December, which was the last, obviously the 12th month of the year and everything, in the December I had her give her $400, and it was amazing because her uh, you know my ex, or my pastor's wife, kind of uh, uh, basically came up and told me. She said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "What?" And she said, "My that when I went up to give her this check, she looked at it and she kind of was going to hand it back to me. She said, maybe the church needs this more than I do. I don't know." And my pastor's wife looked at her square in the face and said, the church has not out one single penny. She said, I want you to understand that every single check we had given you, which was for about the last year, she said, every single check we have given you was voluntarily donated to the church by one person and earmarked for you. And she said, my ex was like, what? What? Oh, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Like this. And then she looked at my pastor's wife and she said, who did that? And my pastor's wife looked at her and said, Randy did. And she was like, oh, wow. 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 Because this was like 9 years after she left, kind
So
of.
I'm assuming, just if you don't mind me, she didn't have contact with you. She didn't want to ask you, or you guys didn't. Now I'm getting
No,
personal, but I guess
no,
she
she
went to
she
the
did
church. She didn't
she
want to
she did
ask you.
well, but she was actually going to a different church with
Ah.
this and stuff. So that was kind of whatever. But yeah, it's very rare that I ever heard from her or whatever. Now she knew that I was taking care of the kids where they lived with me for 3 years. But what was stunningly amazing is when my pastor's wife looked at her and said, "You know what? Randy did this." And
Ah.
she was like blown away in a positive way. She was like this. She was going, "Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow," kind of
Ah.
thing. And then she looked at my pastor and she said, I appreciate this. I appreciate this. And my uh, pastor's wife just smiled at her. And my pastor's wife actually came and told me about that. But what was amazing is that she learned that. 2 weeks before she passed away.
Ah,
My pastor, because about 2 weeks later, my pastor's wife called me back and said that she had passed away. And I was, oh man, oh. But here's the thing, and this is the only reason I'm bringing this up to
ah,
what I'm mentioning today. The bottom line is when you're talking to people, your whole goal is just not to make them completely dependent on you, in your team. But there is a sense where when you're really trying to connect with your people, you want to interact with them in such a way that they feel almost amazed, not just about who you are or whatever, but their experience about
yeah.
some of the things that they, maybe didn't think about or whatever kind of thing. But also the fact that they are experiencing things that make them want to connect with you and to be on your team and to be working with you on your team. And if all
Ah,
you're doing is telling jokes and that's it, you're shortchanging that, kind of thing. You got to kind of be thinking about when you're talking about your team members as a leader. Again, they may not need money, kind of things. I'm not saying that that's a required part of it. No, but one of the things you want to kind of learn is what is it for each one of these people? What is it that makes them feel that amazing about who they're interacting with and all of that? And that is a key aspect of true leadership. It's not just about doing rote academic things, but it's about truly, developing the relationships with your people, not just not just by dictating to them, but helping them experience it in such a way that, you know, they just go, you know what? Yeah, I'm glad I'm part of this, and um, and I want to continue to be a part of this. And by the way, that's why when things get sort of challenging sometimes in your team, if your members are really feeling that about your team and you, guess what? They're going to be thinking in their mind already about how we're going to kind of make this do really well.
yeah.
And that isn't just because you're telling them, because it's not just coming from you, but it's their development, their creation of it, and their application of really that amazing success. And so that it's just something to think about that a lot of people don't realize. It's not about you just dictating to people, but I will say this, that the thing, and I will say this, that for me, I was so amazed and just so appreciative about what I did for the last year of my ex's life, kind of thing. But you know what? Knowing that in the last 2 weeks of her life, she was so appreciative made me just go, yeah, yeah. Wasn't about me. And here's the thing, when you're talking about going into a certain situation, very often it's not just all about the little trinkets of success you can have for your stuff and all, but aligned with that, what are your team members experiencing a little bit differently that make them want to really think about the radical results on their own and really see how this is working. And you know what? As a leader, one of the things you want to be doing is getting a sense within your team members that, you know what, this is what you want to become. Not because it's what you want to do and just the way you want, but you're trying to do it in such a way that magical things can happen with what we're accomplishing and where we're going and what we're trying to do, and also what we're trying to build in each other and all this. And that's just some aspects of it that are a little bit different than just rote academic stuff. But it is a good application aspect that sometimes people don't think about when you're talking about really leading your team and really helping them become such that here, if you get in a car wreck driving home and you have to go to the hospital and you're not there tomorrow, guess what? They can still be successful,
Yeah.
possibly. And so it is just a lot of aspects like that that something to think about. But again, that was just one picture of, you know, making making it such that, if all you're doing is kind of coming up with a superficial joke and having them laugh for 20 seconds, kind of thing, and now you're kind of patting yourself on the back for doing it and walking away with applauding yourself and stuff, you know what? That's not what you want to do, because you're not really getting it there for this aspect of it. It's a lot about the journey, and it's about kind of what people are experiencing in the journey and really becoming. And so it's just something to think about. Yeah, but like I said, that aspect with me and my ex, that um, it just I appreciate that she felt what she did in her last 2 weeks of life and everything, and I appreciate that she understood what I really felt about her, kind of thing, and all that. And you know what? Do your people, or are they just kind of shutting their brain off because they're just trying to go with what you are trying to tell them, or are they truly experiencing how
Yeah.
you're really connecting with them
Yeah.
in such a way that they want to be a part of this and they want to be a part of you. They want to be going forward, kind of thing. And those are just some aspects that a lot of times people don't think about. If all you're doing is going with the superficial things, you know, you're missing the boat and you're not being the real valuable leader.
Mhm.
So I throw it out just as a picture, just as a insight when people are wanting to really lead their teams well and come up with stuff that, you know what, uh, in 6 weeks or something, your CEO calls your team up just to applaud you and to maybe give you a little bit of a whatever, kind of thing, or a little bit of an extra check for whatever, kind of thing. You never know. But the bottom line is developing your people like that, and how you're doing that is a little bit different than a lot of people think. It's not about just going up and telling a joke and trying to get them to control, submit to you and just, shut up and let me do what I want, kind of thing and all that. If that's what you're doing, you're missing the boat. So just something to think about. It's a picture
Ah,
when you're talking about leading your team and growing your team, and really, uh, you know, creating the real synergy in your team, not just for dictating, but in what you're becoming as a team, and getting to be real successful. So I just throw it out there as one kind of picture of it.
oh my goodness, Ray! Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, you gave me goosebumps today, chills,
Well, thank you.
tears, everything. But I mean, and a lot more to learn from the story about, you're so selfless, helpful, and to do that for your family and extended family that wasn't even really your family. I mean, it's just so kind of you to
Legally, yeah,
teach.
that's right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you mentioned, I'm just curious because as a mom, it breaks my heart. I know you said one's 13, one's 16 now, but you're still connected with them. Do they still?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, what I'll share with you, just as a guy like you is, every Sunday I send them all a text, and the text says, "Infinite Sunday Papa Love," to Hallie and Aiden, and to all the adult loved ones and stuff like that. And then on Wednesdays, in fact, I did this morning. On Wednesdays, I send something that just says "Maximum Papa Love" to Hallie and Aiden, kind of thing. And I do that's twice a week. And I'll tell you what, every single time, every single day, I get the answer back from both of them that says, "Love you too, Papa. Love you too, Papa," for both of those kids and everything. So it's an amazing. I just love them to death, and my love for them will never die and will never drop off. And I'll be there right up until I take my last breath to do whatever I can to help them and um,
Beautiful.
and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and but yeah, that's just with those two kids, and they're amazing, amazing, uh, you know, uh, kids, a young girl and a young boy. both of them teenagers now. But yeah.
Amazing, Randy. Thank you so much for sharing that story today. It was really heartfelt and meaningful and inspiring all in one. Ooh,
Well, thank
I
you. I'm
love it.
glad to
Randy
hear
getting
that.
personal today. Yay. We always talk business, which is great, but this is, oh my God, so near and dear to my heart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And you know what? This is important with business too when you understand the subtle difference there. So yep, cool. But
Oh,
yeah, that's I appreciate it.
well, how do we contact you, sweetie?
Well, as you know, you can go to my website, coachingforrelevance.com. And at the very bottom of the page, it has my email on it. And it also has my cell phone number on it. So somebody can call or email me. And as you know, because I say this pretty much every time, that, you know, if they're not looking to whatever, I'm not going to give them a sales pitch. But if they have a need, yeah, we'll come up with something to get them taken care of. But if they just want to have a chat and stuff, we'll do that too.
All right. Thank you so much. Really. Coachingforrelevance.com. Thank you today for this uplifting show and wishing you the best. And you are such that person, you know. It's like karma. What goes around comes around. And not that you look for anything back to you, but the way you live, you should be getting a lot back in return. Not that you're expecting her to want it, but full circle. Thank you.
Yep, yep. Well,
Oh,
listen, I appreciate it, my friend, and I'll tell you what, it's always a pleasure to be here with you on the show, and
same here.
I appreciate who you are, my friend, and just glad to be here on the show with you.
Thank you. Same here, sweetie. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay, bye bye. Take care.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.